Welcome to Talk Tickers. Okay, let's talk about one of the most counterintuitive stories in the market right now. What if I told you there's a company whose profits just cratered by 73%? They're facing a record-shattering fine, and they've just had a data breach that hit nearly every single one of their customers. You'd think their stock would be in the tank, right? Well, what if I told you it's actually hitting a 52-week high? That's the wild paradox of SK Telecom, and today we're going to unpack it.
I mean, just look at this. On one side, you have headlines that read like a corporate horror story, a data breach of epic proportions, profits absolutely falling off a cliff, and regulators coming down on them like a ton of bricks. But then, you look at the ticker, and it's telling a completely different story. The stock's not just surviving, it's thriving. So what in the world is going on? What does the market see that the rest of us are missing? Well, that's exactly what we're here to figure out. So, here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll really dig into this paradox. Then, we're going to look at the bear case, all the terrible stuff that's happening. After that, we'll uncover the secret lifeline, the bull case that's getting everyone so excited. Then, we'll see what the future might hold, and finally, we'll wrap it up with a potential trade idea based on everything we've talked about.
Right. So this is the fundamental question we have to answer. How can a company that's so clearly in the middle of an operational crisis get such a huge vote of confidence from investors? Why is the market just shrugging it all off?
Okay, so before we get to the hidden upside, you have to understand just how bad the downside is. And believe me, the bear case here it's pretty powerful. The company's core business is getting hit from every possible angle. It all starts with this number, almost 27 million. That's how many customers had their data stolen in a hack that went completely unnoticed for nearly 4 years. We're not just talking emails here. We're talking about the core data on their SIM cards, the very keys to their digital kingdom. It's a nightmare scenario. And the response? Another mind-boggling number, a 1.2 trillion won plan. That's about 860 million US dollars for compensation and security upgrades. Now, to give you some perspective, that absolutely dwarfs what we've seen from huge breaches at places like T-Mobile or AT&T. This isn't just PR. This is a massive, expensive, and frankly, desperate move to stop the bleeding. And when you spend that kind of cash, well, this is the result. A 73% nosedive in net income. That's not a small dip, folks. That is a financial catastrophe, and it's driven almost entirely by the cost of this breach, on top of an already struggling mobile business. Oh, and if all that wasn't enough, they're now picking a fight with their own government. The country's privacy watchdog slapped them with a record $91 million fine, and what does SK Telecom do? They sue to get it overturned. So let's recap. You've got furious customers, plunging profits, and you're in a legal war with your regulators? It's the definition of a toxic cocktail. So the telecom business is, for all intents and purposes, a raging dumpster fire. But here's the twist. The market, it doesn't seem to care about the fire. It's completely mesmerized by this one little lottery ticket that SK Telecom happened to buy a few years back. A lottery ticket that just hit a massive jackpot, and its name is Anthropic. Now, if you're not familiar with Anthropic, they're the AI company behind the Claude chatbot and one of the hottest private companies on the planet. Started by folks who left OpenAI, its valuation has just gone completely vertical. We're talking billions upon billions of dollars pouring in from every tech giant you can name. Google, Amazon, NVIDIA, Microsoft, you name it, they're in. And this is where all clicks. See, back in 2023, SK Telecom quietly invested $100 million in Anthropic. Today, with Anthropic's private market value soaring, that little $100 million bet has ballooned. It's now estimated to be worth up to 17% of SK Telecom's entire company value. Think about that. One investment is now almost a fifth of the company. So this is the whole game right here. The market has basically decided to stop treating SK Telecom like a boring old phone company. Nobody cares about subscriber growth anymore. Instead, they're pricing it like it's a publicly traded venture capital fund that holds one single incredible asset, Anthropic. It's become the easiest way for public investors to get a piece of a private AI giant. Okay, so that's the setup. But what happens next? Where does the story go from here? Well, it's really all going to come down to a few key events and catalysts that everyone's watching. First and foremost, the Anthropic IPO. That is the big one. A successful IPO would be the moment of truth, making the value of SKM's stake undeniable. Second, people want to know if the dividend can come back after they had to cut it. That's going to depend entirely on point number 3.
Can they actually fix the core business, or will it just keep dragging everything down? And finally, they've got to clean up this legal mess. All those lawsuits are like a dark cloud just hanging over the stock, and investors hate uncertainty. All right, so that brings us to our last section. Given this crazy contradictory story, how might someone actually approach this in the market? Let's walk through a potential trade idea. So the idea is what's known as a paired trade. Think of it like this. You want to buy a high-performance race car, but it's attached to a rusty old engine. So what do? You buy the whole thing, but then you immediately sell off the engine to someone else. Here, you'd go long SK Telecom, that's buying the race car to get the valuable Anthropic chassis, and then you short a telecom ETF to basically sell that rusty old legacy engine. You're trying to isolate the pure AI play. The big catalyst, of course, is that Anthropic IPO. That's the car winning the big race. And the risk? Well, the risk is the IPO gets delayed or flops, and the car breaks down before it even crosses the finish line.
And that's our deep dive on the SK Telecom paradox. It is just a fascinating example of the market looking right past a business that's on fire to see a treasure chest buried underneath. It's a powerful reminder that right now, a single stake in a hot AI company can be worth more to investors than the legacy business serving millions of people. This is not financial advice.